I absolutely love science. I used to be a teacher, and teaching science was my favorite subject because science is the world. It's the real world. It's the natural world. And a lot of science when it comes to nature and how we interact as nature as fishermen is really fun because we actually can go out, we can experiment, and we can try different things to form different hypotheses and test different theories, and thus come up with results that make us better fishermen on the water. And the people over at Berkeley Labs have been doing this for a long, long time. They have tens of thousands of data points that have shown what bass like, what they don't like, what they can smell, what they can't smell, what they can taste, what they can't taste. And it's really fascinating. And a few months back, I went down to Houston, Texas to the Berkeley Science Symposium, and Mark Sexton was down there. And Mark Sexton is the lead biologist over at Berkeley. And one thing that he was talking about is how bass smell. So when a bass smells something, and actually doesn't have an olfactory system just like we do, it means it has a nose. When a smell goes into its brain, smell is one of the only kind of stimulus that go directly to the bass's brain. And so a bass can make a determination very, very quickly of whether it's something it likes or it doesn't like. And one thing that Mark was talking about is when it comes to us as fishermen, you got to think about all the things that we put on our body or that we touch before we get to the lake, before we even leave our house and on our way to the lake, that could be something that makes a fish go, ooh, I really don't want to eat that. I don't like that. And so in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about masking our scent and the idea of being careful when it comes to what you actually put on your body before you go fishing. Now, I know there's been thousands of fish caught from dudes smoking cigarettes and putting WD-40 on their baits or whatever the hell else exists out there. But it's just a thought process to go through that maybe it does catch a few more fish. Maybe it does help to put that extra 2 or 3 or 4 bites into the boat at the bank or the kayak, or hell, maybe it makes the difference between catching a 10-pounder and it doesn't. And so the idea of masking our scent, that treating fishing kind of like hunting and being very careful about how we treat our hands and we treat our baits before they put them into the water could make the difference in catching fish or not. So to go back to Mark Sexton, like I said, when it comes to a bass, they've done tens of thousands of data points, and they've collected tens of thousands of data points. They've done hundreds of studies about how bass smell things. And so they come up with technologies like Berkeley Gulp, Berkeley Max Scent, Berkeley Power Bait, all of these different technologies over at the Berkeley Lab with the sole reasoning of making a bass smell what we want it to smell in order to make it want to eat. And so they have done all kinds of crazy tests. I mean, they've ground up bait fish, crawdads, other dead fish. They've put things in the water with fish like oils and hand soaps and colognes and cigarettes and all of these different things to see which one causes the most distress and which one causes the most like, hey, I want to go over there and just eat that thing, and you're able to jack their face. And that's why they come up with stuff like Berkeley Gulp. Berkeley Gulp has been formulated over tens of thousands of studies and data points to be the most effective thing that it can be in order to get fish to bite. And so one of the things that they determine is like gasoline. A bass can smell gasoline, and when you get gas on your hands, what's surprising is that it doesn't really make a bass react. They're just kind of like neutral to that stimulus. But things like colognes and lotions and hand soaps, and this one is a big one and probably the most surprising thing to me, sunscreen absolutely terrifies a bass. Like, it makes them go into complete flight mode when you actually put a sunscreen on your hands and then you touch a bait or you touch the water. They can smell that sunscreen and it terrifies them. And so it kind of made me rethink how I interact with baits after I've touched certain things. I mean, because we've got to put sunscreen on, right? I like the spray sunscreen the most because it keeps me from actually having to rub it in. But regardless, I mean, those particles can get on my hands, and then I can touch something like my bladed jig or a coal shad or something like that, and then throw it into the water. And if that little bit of scent difference makes the difference between getting those fish to bite and not, it could be the difference between me winning a tournament and not. And so the idea that I'm kind of, fleshing out here is that I am always very careful to not touch certain things on the way to the lake or when I'm on the lake. Like when it comes to sunscreen, I don't use rub sunscreen much anymore. I like the spray sunscreen, and I try not to rub it on my hands. And if I do a really good job of washing it off in the water and getting it off my hands the best that I possibly can. That or carry some sort of natural based, organic soap out on the water with you, something that's obviously not going to hurt the environment, it's biodegradable, but something to get that off of your hands could mean the difference between catching fish or not. Another thing that I'm going to do is mask my scent, just like when we're hunting. You spray on no scent, things that either take away your scent or make you smell like the woods or acorns or something like that. Something that's going to mask the scent so the deer don't run away. I'm going to use things like Berkeley Gulp Gel, and I'm going to rub it all over my baits to mask a scent that I may have put on it by accident. And really, like I said, it could make a difference, it could not. And in my anecdotal experience, it's made a huge difference in whether I catch fish or not. And if you want to see this in action and you want to see some scent in action, click this video, it's popping up right here.